Welcome, weary traveler. You have stumbled across a comedy chronicle of cranial concoctions, a frenzied fusion of befuddled fables, an exacting expose on eclectic mythos. Should you brave ahead, you will find yourself enlightened, delighted, and only slightly misinformed on the many fantastical worlds that exist within our favorite media. Will you learn all there is to know? That I cannot say. But I can say it will be the lore you know. Want to tell you guys that I saw Lightyear and I didn't like it, and they had one joke where they were talking about how sandwiches are eaten in the future, and then they put the meat on the outside of the bread, so it's like slices of meat. It's like a slice of meat and then bread and then another slice of meat, and I just thought that was stupid, but also in the movie, that scene lasted for like 20 minutes. And
Dear listeners, I've heard CJ complain about the sandwich
I
scene for
hate
so long.
that
And
they think that they're like using that as an example for like, oh, things change. It's like, I don't think idiots are gonna just start, because you get. And they even said you get just meat juice all over your hands. They're like, that's the best part. No, the best part about a sandwich is that you can hold it. He puts it on a table and then picks it back up. It'd be full of disgusting table, like fucking crumbs and shit.
There are things called plates.
Asinine.
Heads up.
They didn't use a plate, Fran. They got it out of a vending machine. He just put a meat face. If you were making a sandwich and your slice of meat you were making the sandwich with just felt like fucking flat on a table, you wouldn't just pick it up and put it in your sandwich. You'd throw it in the garbage. That would happen every time with your sandwich.
Anyways,
and your grubby little gross hands.
Welcome to the Lore You Know.
Disgusting.
Nope, we're moving. Welcome to the Lore You Know, a podcast where three friends dive into the fantastical and often convoluted lore of media that we grew up with and love. And here to bring you the mostly correct facts about completely made up things this week are me, Fran.
Me, Ethan.
And I'm livid about the sandwich scene in Lightyear and how stupid it was. Mm-hmm. And we could do a whole episode on that, and we might still. I haven't decided where this
Lightyear lore.
This episode is going to take us. There is some lore there. I can spoil the whole thing for you. It's a time paradox. And
I feel like the sandwich is pretty much all we need to know about it.
It's because the sandwich scene lasts longer than the scene where it's revealed that he is his own enemy. So it's like, where's the focus, really?
Wait, is he, what's his face? The purple villain guy?
Zurg,
evil
emperor Zurg, even though he's emperor of
Zurg?
nothing.
Is this what we do on this show now? We spoil bad Pixar movies.
Well, we don't have like a mini, like this is what we would do if we had like a mini episode. We would just go through a bunch of movies and spoil them all at once, but we just have this little intro sequence where we just talk about something to lead in. So yeah, I guess we just spoil Pixar movies
every
at the
week,
beginning of episodes, and that's how we start it now.
All right.
Speaking of spoiling, get ready to have every single moment from this video game spoiled for you, because today I'm going to lead you through the fantastical world of Final Fantasy VII. What? But CJ, how could you get all of the information for Final Fantasy VII into an hour and a half long podcast? I don't know. We're going to try. Who knows what's going to happen? This one's going to be a little chaotic, I think. I was warning Fran ahead of time. This is stupid. There's no way to tell this in a linear fashion. Fran's never played this game before. No. I've technically never played this game before.
Why am I not doing this one?
I think Ethan's the only one who's played this game.
Wow.
Because okay. I don't trust you enough. I don't think you would have gone through and really like delve in deep. Like you just see Tifa and you're like, yum yum. I see Sephiroth, and I go, but what's his deal?
Uh-huh.
Why does he exist? And that's what we're gonna dig into
Yeah.
today.
Okay.
So,
I'll take that as constructive criticism.
Great.
well, yeah, as a little bit of a backstory, Final Fantasy is not a continuous series. It's basically an anthology fantasy series made by Square, now Square Enix. They called it Final Fantasy the first time because it was their last chance to make a good video game that people actually bought. Which is a weird reason to title your that would be like if I had like financial trouble bros as the name of my video game, because I'm like, well, if this doesn't work, I'm going back to my day job.
So the only
Uh
things I really know about Final Fantasy VII is that I think I suffered through Final Fantasy VII Advent Children in high school when it came out.
but we're talking about Final Fantasy VII, the original one, not the remake. I have no idea what the remake is about. I know it's not about this really as much. They decided to change it and make it just
They
whatever. I don't
throw
know.
in some twists.
Wow, they went buck wild is all I know. Now we're talking about the Final Fantasy VII that came out long, long ago, originally for the PlayStation. We're gonna set the scene here. I want to craft this world for you as the camera pans down onto our dystopian steampunk future that we're going to be residing in, and we are on the planet. It's just called the planet in the game. Later they called it Gaia, but during the actual game, everyone just calls it the planet. But we're on Gaia, and this planet is very special because this planet is alive. Ooh. A living planet, you say? I hope there's no messages about how industry is bad.
It's usually
There are.
capitalism.
Yeah, there's a
Mhm.
lot of that in this one.
Yeah. Wait. All right. Excuse me, teacher. Question.
Yeah, yes, you there, the weird kid in the back who eats paste.
One sec.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
I
really.
don't need those noises.
Someone get him some milk or something.
Now, is Gaia, is that the only planet that is alive, or is that just all the other planets are also alive, but there's no humans like destroying them? So they're just having a good time out in space?
Yeah, so it's worth to say that a lot of Final Fantasy games up until this point have been on sort of uh, a more like fantasy past setting, where this one's like a fantasy future kind of setting. So instead of like ancient technologies kind of stuff, and like you know you have a lot more like cars mostly. There's like cars.
There's a
uh
motorcycle,
uh,
right?
which is there's motorcycles, there's all
Yeah.
sorts of that stuff. There's mega corporations that mine the planet for its resources.
Ah,
So
all the
just
best
like
things from modern era. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, just like modern stuff.
Yeah.
But we're on Gaia. This planet is alive, and this planet has a lifeblood, an energy that flows through it called the life stream. Within the life stream, there is a insane amount of energy that can be harnessed and used by people if they felt like it. And for a long time, there was an ancient race of people known as the Cetra who could tap into the life stream and commune with the planet herself. And using this communing of nature, they could do cool magic things, and it made them very powerful and prolific, and they were all over the planet living in harmony with the planet, and it was super great. And uh this life stream would also well up in the planet's crust as a liquid called mako or mako. Side note, there's going to be a lot of names in this. All of the names have symbology that makes no fucking sense, and all of them are pronounced wrong by everyone. So
Yay.
I'm gonna go with Mako. I'm
Mm.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
important to note that this is the first Final Fantasy that has full cutscenes. It's also not the first Final Fantasy to have any voice acting. So it's all just text. Nobody knows how anything's pronounced. They had to do stuff for the remake, but everyone got mad at it. So I'm just gonna go with my guts, and I'm gonna say Mako energy is liquid life stream that
Mhm.
exists in the planet, and it's basically oil. I mean, they dig it up and then they can turn it into electricity. Is the deal?
Sounds like oil.
Uh, it does sound. It's just oil. It's just fantasy oil.
It's made
Uh,
from dead things. From the
no,
bottom
it's
of the
made
ocean.
of the planet. No, the planet
Yeah,
is
no,
alive.
I
Oh,
mean,
sorry.
it's
It's
made
the
of
blood flow.
yeah.
It's the blood force of the planet. Can't you hear her cry out?
Yeah, it's made of potential life instead of dead things.
Instead of dead.
I
So
guess
weird.
it's stem cells.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh,
It's
no.
planet stem cells.
Just mix
Oh,
stem
no.
cells and oil and I don't know any other
Scientists. See
hot-
what happens. Has anyone done that yet?
You get Mako. That's what you get.
You get Mako, yeah.
I would like it. And then there's also a solid form of Mako. It crystallizes into what's known as materia.
Ah, that's the
Uh,
word I've known before. Materia.
Yeah, materia is a game mechanic throughout the game. Like you can use it to get magic powers because the Mako that forms the materia gives you the same kind of magic powers that the ancients had. Because they could commune with nature and like ask for that power, but the materia lets you just do things like heal or use lightning or fire or what have you.
So can anyone use materia to get special powers, or is that like only like certain?
Yeah,
people?
it's just it's like a product basically. You just
Yeah.
hold it and you can just use it and it just does a thing.
I can understand why a corporation's trying to market this and like sell it to people.
Oh yeah, and they do very
Yeah,
successfully.
I mean that's a dope product.
But there's a catch, Fran. If
think
you
it kills
take
the
all
planet?
of this Mako and materia out of the earth, then it bad for Earth.
That's a problem for
and-
future generations to deal with.
Well, it's also I mean, it does make monsters when they do
Yeah.
that. So they're just like, well, whatever, a little bit of monsters, but we get electricity.
Once
No,
again,
I-
sounds
I
like a
think-
future problem.
We're right at that point, Fran, where everyone kept saying it's a future problem until we got to the future and start game.
so the game takes place like
the turn.
the
It
future
would
is
be
now
a very boring video
situation.
game if it was like, and then they just kept doing it because it would take hundreds of years for it to matter.
They could have made like a Lemonade Tycoon like version of like materia like game, like a mini game that they could have
Where you
done
just
as,
try
like, a
and
pre-game.
use a fucking gold rush it
Yeah.
and just try and
Yeah.
pull as much of that shit out of the ground
you
as
would
possible.
like a Final
Yeah.
Fantasy themed cookie clicker.
Yeah, they could have done
Yeah.
that for mobile.
Is that not what the mobile game is? I haven't played it, but I,
I
imagine it's
presume
pretty close to
I
that.
presume it is one of them. Yeah.
I assume it's a gotcha cookie clicker. But no, there are the ancient people. The fact that I'm calling them the ancient people might give you a little hint that they ain't around anymore because
Or are they?
2,000 years ago, they were wiped out by a great calamity that was known as the calamity from the sky. And since then, the Cetra people have all but died out.
All right.
So it's like 2,000 years after this calamity, and we've got the Shinra Electric Power Company. They're a mega corporation, baby / government. They just kind of own everything. It's implied that they fight wars with other countries, but I think they want to own the entire world. Is the point of them?
That is capitalism, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's basically just a regular company. But
Okay.
they are the ones who harvest the Mako and
They're the only
and
ones
funnel
who do
it into and
that's
funnel it
monopoly.
into generators to make electricity. And the hub for all of this is a place called Midgar. Now, this game is steeped in the mythos of ancient Jewish lore. But for some fucking reason, the city they're in is named Midgar, which is a Viking thing.
Okay. I'm not
But
versed on ancient Jewish lore. Is Shinra
Yeah.
and stuff like that a reference to those things?
apparently, the word Shinra derives from the word myth in Japanese
Okay.
because Shinra was about becoming God and controlling everything. But yeah, Shinra owns everything and they are based out of Midgar. And
Okay.
Midgar is a big circular city. That's where our camera is panning down on to start the video game. A big circular city. The city's split into 8 sections that are cut out like a pizza pie, if you can imagine. and then there are these big plates that are over the top of each of the pizza slices. That's the upper levels. The upper levels is where all the cool rich people get to live. And at the bottom, it looks like we've got some slums. That's where everyone else gets to live. That's right. There's classism in this world because
Every world.
although the Mako fueled economy has brought new technology and a better quality of life, only for the rich people. Sorry. And then in the middle is the big Shinra Corporation building, which is where everything is based out of.
So,
Uh,
are there other cities like Midgar on Gaia, or is like this where
there's
all the people live?
there's other cities, but Midgar is like the capital city of the
Okay.
world, I guess, if
Okay.
Shinra owns everything.
So Shinra has like market share, I guess, in these other cities as well, not just
Yeah.
Midgar.
Well, again, they're closer to like a government, right? Like they have a standing army and they control all the land, and it seems like
But
the
only in
only
the here?
people. No,
I'm just
like
trying to
all
get that
over the
idea of the
place.
scope. Okay.
No, this is just the capital city where
Imagine
we
they're
start.
they're the America of this world. They control like a huge chunk of this continent, and they also have their dirty fingies in every other continent. So
Mhm,
they don't
mhm.
necessarily own like every city, but they are also like able to
Their
throw their
tendrils are
weight
there.
around.
Okay. But
Yeah.
are all the cities like Midgar in that they're pizzas, or is there
No,
like settlements like
No,
on the ground
no,
and stuff?
that's just Midgar.
Okay.
And so not everyone likes this
Fair.
setup. As you might imagine, the pores are getting a little antsy. And so we now are introduced to our main group for the time being, Avalanche. They're an
Mm.
eco-terrorist group, and they've decided that they've had enough of this gosh darn pipe laying in the planet. And they think that the best way to stop it is to just blow up the Mako reactor
Mm.
that is powering all of the stuff.
My first thought
And
was that sounds a bit extreme, but they
well, they're
are
eco
eco
terrorists.
terrorists, so I guess
Yeah,
that
by
works.
definition, that's what they want to do. Right.
I don't know.
Uh
That's maybe we're just on different
maybe
stages
yeah,
of
maybe we're too weak.
eco-terrorism, but
Yeah,
I think
I
that
don't know.
sounds like a pretty good idea. I think they
Maybe we should try it.
Yeah, I think they might not get a lot of traction if they just like held up some signs. I think it might be blow up a reactor time.
Oh boy.
We might be getting there. Anyway, we have Tifa, Barrett, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge
Oh.
are all the members of Avalanche right
Oh, the
now.
game makes you sympathetic to the eco terrorists. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
you are on the eco terrorists'
Oh,
side.
didn't know that.
This game is pro eco terrorism.
Okay.
Pretty fervently.
Interesting. All right.
These guys, they want to go blow up a reactor, but you know what?
Go for
They're
it.
just 5 dudes. So
And
what do?
dudettes.
They're going to hire themselves a mercenary, one of the best mercenaries they can find. And then we get our protagonist who you play as, Cloud Strife, the coolest guy.
Oh.
He has been hired by Tifa because they knew each other from childhood. And she's like, "You need someone to help blow up a reactor? I've got just the guy who wants to impress me as
And
a potential sexual mate."
oh dear. Where are my mercenary childhood friends? What the fuck, guys?
The game begins and you're Cloud Strife. You're joining these crazy Avalanche kids and you're going to blow up a reactor. Well, guess what? You're a trained mercenary and it's no big deal. You fly in there, you explode the reactor, and hey, that's one reactor down. Uh-oh. The city split into 8 pieces. There's 8 reactors total. Well, it's Avalanche's goal to go around the whole circle and hit every single one of them. So they've got one down, but now Shinra kind of knows they're coming because they just blew up a whole reactor. So what
Was
do we
that
do?
part of the contract? Was Cloud aware he was gonna have to blow up 8 of them, or was he like, "Yeah, I got the one"?
No, he got hired on for one, and
Mm.
then Jessie was like really hitting on him, and she's like, "You're such a big, strong man. We should get married." And then Biggs and Wedge were like, "Dude, you're so fucking cool. I want to be your best friend." And he was just like, "I don't care. I just care about money and getting paid." and I'm a tsundere for Tifa, so I also hope she notices me.
And
And then Barrett's like, "Can't you hear the planet bleed?" And then he's like, no." And then Tifa convinces him that he should doing
Mhm.
For
keep
free.
doing more
Yeah.
terrorism.
Sorry.
Tifa's not actually on the first mission with them. She's just the one who got them all uh set up together.
Mm.
She's not there. She's at her bar.
But yeah, I mean, side note also, Cloud didn't have a lot going on. He was
No. So Tifa found him Tifa found him rambling at a train station. And then she walked up to him, and then he was like, "Oh, hey girl I tried to impress when I was a little kid. What's up?" And she's like, "Hey, you want to go blow up an oil refinery?" He's like, "Fuck yeah, that sounds pretty cool." But they all are at Tifa's bar. They're like, "All right, they're gonna be expecting us now. So what do? We gonna do it again. Let's get going." So they all gear back up. You have the materia tutorial, and then you go and then you go
this time we're
and
gonna use magic.
this time we're gonna use that magic stuff that's all over the place. But no, they're gonna go blow up a reactor. But this time, Shinra's waiting for them. It was a trap, and they are able to separate Avalanche while they're fighting Shinra. The entire group gets separated. Cloud falls a ridiculous distance down into the lower slums of the city and is separated from the rest of Avalanche. And no one could survive that fall unless you land on a tiny bed of flowers. That's weird though. Flowers don't grow in Midgard because of all of the Mako mining. I wonder what that's about. Well, it's time that we meet our newest character, Aerith. Uh,
Oh.
where does Aerith get her name from? Again, it's just a Japanized version of the word Earth. So that's why I know her name is Aerith, because she's supposed to represent the Air Earth.
Mm.
I don't like Aerith. I'm Tifa gang.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
was gonna bring up, but CJ's pushing pretty hard this whole like, and then Cloud tries to impress Tifa, but
the more
there's
the more the more I looked into it, the more I realized I like Tifa and I don't like Aerith. When I was a kid, I thought I liked Aerith, but I was wrong.
there's definitely some bias going into that one, I would
That
say.
was an error. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, Tifa does seem cooler than Aerith.
She's definitely
You-
cooler. She
wait,
punches things
The
to
only
death.
thing
Yeah.
you know about Aerith is that she planted some flowers. That's all you've
I'm
been given
aware
so
that
far.
she has like a big bow in
Flowers
her
are
hair.
lame.
She has like a basket, and
She doesn't have a
is,
big
like,
bow in her hair. You're
she
thinking
doesn't-
of someone completely different.
She doesn't have a pink bow in her hair.
Oh, she's got like a ribbon she ties her hair back
Yeah.
with, but
There's a pink ribbon, and then she just seems really girly, whereas Tifa seems like she can kick your ass. So I can understand.
Tifa can kick your ass.
Yeah.
Tifa can punch people to death. Everyone else has a weapon. Tifa just punches things. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Step on me, Tifa. God.
Yeah. Imagine.
Ugh.
Well, Aerith is there to meet Cloud, and she goes, "You know what? This is actually really fortunate because these Shinra guys are trying to get me." At first, Cloud assumes the Shinra guys are after him because he thinks he's hot shit. But nope, they want to capture Aerith. And he's not going to let that happen because otherwise he wouldn't look cool in front of a girl, and he's not about that. So he is able to protect Aerith and bring her back to her home. And eventually, the two of them are able to find Tifa and reunite with her. Well, Aerith is a bit of a mystery. She can grow flowers in Midgar, even though no flowers seem to grow there. She's got a real like lackadaisical sort of whimsical thing going on when everyone else in the slums is pretty serious. So she's and apparently Shinra's after her, so she's got some secrets going on there. What could
Very
it be?
mysterious and desirable.
Yeah, what could it be? Well, what it is that she is the last surviving Cetra, the ancient people who could commune with the planet. Shinra wants her because things aren't going great. For some reason, when they mine up all the oil, it goes away and it doesn't come back. And they want more of it. But they don't know where that is. They do know of an ancient legend, though, that the Cetra people have about a place called the Promised Land, where the life force, the life stream overflows and never ends. And they want that because they want to mine that. They want that sweet, sweet juice, and they want Aerith to tell them where it is. So they are chasing after her.
Mm.
Cloud wants to get back to the Avalanche people, and he's like, fine, you can come with me. Just don't get in my way, etc., etc. They go and find Tifa, and the three of them interrogate this guy known as Don Corleone, who is like a mob dude. But they are basically trying to figure out what Shinra knows, because they done got set up in a trap, and they still want to blow up those reactors. So they got to get all the info they can. Well, the Don tells them that Shinra found their.
Whoa!
I need you to stop me here.
CJ.
To go. This is so.
I have questions as well, but Ethan
Yeah,
seems to have
well,
an
Ethan
actual
wants-
reason to stop you.
I mean, Ethan wants to talk about a very special part in the story.
This is so. In order to get to Don Corleone, you see, he only accepts meetings with beautiful young ladies in his pleasure palace, or whatever he calls his
Oh,
gross
dear.
like.
Probably called that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
God.
It's very gross. And so Tifa and Aerith are both willing to go in, but Cloud's like, "That's crazy. You guys can't do that alone. So I will go with you." And so you spend a solid like hour running several quests in order to feminize Cloud.
Yes. That
And
sounds
it's-
great.
It's
It's a
really
cross-dressing
good.
minigame.
It's
Love
Yeah,
some
you have to go into
men
like this. Yeah,
cross-dressing.
you go into this one place that's like a dude ranch, and all these buff masculine men surround you, and like you have a bath with them.
What?
And you do all of this so that you can like get a dress, I think, and then one of the big men is like,
yeah, because they're all cross dressers, and so they're
Yeah.
all
and he's like, I've got a little twink dress for you, you
Ye-
little boy.
But first, I need you to show me that you can do 100 squats, an
Yeah, he's
actual
gotta do
thing
squats.
that they give you game button inputs to do, and they have you sit there and squat for the men.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
what
it's
you
like-
do at the outlet malls, right? In order to get any of the good deals, you have to do at least 100
That's what
squats
I
to get
do. It
anything.
hasn't worked
Indeed.
yet.
And
It's entirely psychotic, but it is one of the reasons people like this game so
it's-
much, because
it's
it has such
be-
weird shit like
it's
this.
a thing of beauty, CJ. And then they finally get into Don Corleone's mansion, and they're like, but the Don only wants to be with one woman tonight. And he looks over the girl options, and could you guess which one he picks, Fran?
Is it Cloud?
He picks that
a-
beautiful blonde Cloud girl.
It depends. It actually depends. If you don't do all of the things to make you beautiful, he'll pick. I think he'll pick Aerith.
I can't.
Or no,
believe...
he'll pick Tifa. But because you
Fair.
have to like get your makeup done, you have to get your hair done, you have to get a dress, and you have to get the dress fitted. And there's like a million different. You have to get like shoes.
I love it.
So you only have to do like a few of those things to be passable. But if you do all of those things, then the Don wants to fuck you, and you can let it go on for a really
Oh,
long
no.
time before you're like, wait, actually you can't. You can like keep stringing him along, and then what will happen is that the girls were busted, and they'll be like, Cloud, what are you doing? And he'll be like, nothing. I'm gonna get this guy.
And then all I know from the remake, I know we're not talking about the remake, but in the remake, there's like you fight a house. Is
Yeah,
that
that
in
happens.
this?
Yeah, it's like a Baba Yaga hut.
Why?
What?
Why did they fight a house?
Because you fight a house.
If you're looking for a purpose, you're missing the point.
Okay.
is
Yeah,
you fight
you
a
So
fight
house.
this
house.
crazy nonsense
Whatever.
happens. Got it.
I don't know. Maybe it represents how the housing market often fights against the very people that need it the
Mhm.
most. But
No,
you know,
I mean every Final
Art
Fantasy
is in
game
the eye of
has
the
to have
beholder.
one of those things. In Final
Okay.
Fantasy VI, you suplex the train. In
Mhm.
Final Fantasy VII, you beat up a house.
Shinra knows the location of Avalanche's secret hideout.
Mm.
And they have a really
That could be a problem.
super cool and fun plan that I think everyone can get behind to get revenge on them. They're going to drop the plate above the sector that their hideout is,
Oh,
which
shit.
will kill everyone and everything in that sector, including Avalanche, which
Oh.
again is a group made up of 5 people. They could have just gotten those 5 people, but no, they're like, no, it's a systemic thing. We really just need to make a show of force.
Sending a message, CJ.
Yeah.
That
So
also sounds a little extreme.
they are going to collapse 1/8 of this huge city on top of the lower portion of the city, thus
boy.
killing everyone in the slums.
Oh.
Fortunately, you know about this plan, so you can stop it. Unfortunately, you are unable to stop it, and this giant plate comes crashing down and
Shit.
destroys everyone in Sector 7.
But they were obviously not in Sector 7 at that time.
Well, Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett were not. Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, they're just dead.
Oh,
They have
Jesse
perished.
dies?
Yeah, Jesse is dead.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's
she dies
brutal.
pretty early on.
Wow.
And Barrett does have a daughter who lives there
Ooh.
as well, but you send Aerith off to go save his daughter, and she is successful in saving his daughter,
good.
but while she is separated from the group, Shinra gets her. So Shinra gets everything they want. Avalanche is destroyed, at least they think so, and Aerith is captured, and they bring them back to their super cool research base in the center of the city.
Did they just
Another
kill the daughter?
win for capitalism. End of game.
Yeah, we did it, boys. Groups hug in the shower. What did you say, Fran?
Did they just kill Barrett's daughter, or is
No,
that-
Barrett's
is she
daughter.
okay?
No, Barrett's daughter is okay.
Okay,
She was
great.
she was saved.
They're not monsters, Fran.
I don't condone the killing of children. That's all. So I just wanted to check.
That's noted. Ethan, do you want to go on the record as being pro or con child murder?
I think that Shinra Corp would never kill a child face to face. They like to either drop a plate on them or just kind of slowly destroy the planet on which they live.
I mean, those are true statements.
I'm just saying, hypothetically, if you had baby Hitler, would you not kill baby Hitler?
I kill every baby I see just to be safe. Any one of them could be baby Hitler.
Just in case it turns into the next Hitler.
I'm just being logical. I'm just being logical.
Fantastic. So everyone remaining in Avalanche is pretty pissed at this point.
Fair.
But Cloud has promised that he was going to protect Aerith, and she has been captured. So he says that he has to go get Aerith, and everyone else likes Aerith a lot. She's very sweet and kind, and she kind of immediately ingratiates herself to the rest of the group, and so they're all on board. And so the remaining members of Avalanche decide that they have to go save her. They find Aerith. She's being held with Red 13. Red 13 fucking rules. Fran, I want you to describe what Red 13 looks to me.
Is it a person?
No, you're so far off.
Yeah, I don't know if you're getting the point here.
I don't.
What do you think Red 13 looks like?
I don't have much of an imagination, so I imagine XIII and it's red. That's all I got.
That's what they find. They find 4 letters and it's red, and they're like, "This is in our party now."
Now, Fran, imagine a big like coyote dog thing, but super red, and then also looks Native American, but the kind of Native American that we would have called Indian.
Also,
so
he has
confused.
a scorpion tail.
Okay. And this is a critter? It's a critter.
He's gifted with human speech and thought as well.
Oh. Okay.
So obviously he's some sort of Shinra experiment,
Like
right?
Chimera situation?
Nope, that's just
No?
a race of creatures that lives on this world.
It's just a race of creatures?
Yep.
Okay.
He's part of a race of creatures that are sort of the caretakers of the planet. And they have captured him because they want to do cool experiments on him and stuff.
Because they were probably
It's
friends
just
with
for
the
fun.
ancient peoples or whatever. or something.
Yeah, or at the very least, they've got a little more insight into
Yeah.
some cool Mako leads.
I
But
I also had a question. I'm sorry.
yeah,
So many questions. How many reactors did they actually end up blowing up?
just the one.
Just the
They
one?
just got one.
They
Yeah,
got
they
one
got one.
done,
I think the
and now
second
they're
one.
like,
So the reason that the plate is collapsed is because the second one does blow up, but it was Shinra that blew it up on purpose to collapse the plate
oh, that's
to
a good
kill
message
everybody.
to send
Well,
from
yeah, it was
from
like
a
it was like
corporate.
a false flag.
Yeah.
Like they were
You tell the
oh, look at what.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were like, look at what Avalanche did. They killed. No, okay,
That's
so
smart.
I guess I didn't explain that, but no, Shinra didn't be like, hey guys, just so you know, we are going to blow up an eighth of the people because we are trying to kill 4 people. No, they were like,
These
oh,
5 people.
those darn Avalanche guys did it again. They blew up a reactor, and look what happened.
Mhm.
Millions killed. Oh, we should all hate them.
That's a good point. Because I'm just in my mind going, okay, I thought they were blowing up reactors, and now they're gonna save Aerith, and yeah. So okay, got it.
They get them out of their little prison cell. Nice. The group's reunited. They're all ready to go. And immediately everyone gets captured.
Mhm.
Just all of them, including the original people they were there to save, get captured and put into a prison cell.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I do like. There's so little fanfare for adding Red 13 to the team. They are really just
You
like,
don't even.
"You're a
It takes so
talking
long to
dog?
even play as him.
you're a talking dog. Like you're our friend now." And he's like, "Well, I was trapped here, so sure, I'm your friend now."
They're all captured again. Fortunately for everyone, a nice, kind young boy is going to let them all out. And who is
How
it? Bum,
convenient.
bum, 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 bum. It's Sephiroth, everyone's favorite little man.
What?
This is the first time we see Sephiroth. He shows
Wait.
up.
I thought
he's
Sephiroth
like-
was the antagonist.
He's like, "What's up, Cloud? You're looking like an idiot. Do you want to get let out?" And Cloud's like, "Yeah, I guess." And then Sephiroth's like, "All right, cool. Get out of there, you scamp."
Is that how it goes? Didn't he just like kind of destroy everything so much that they all the cells opened up or something like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, what's the difference? All we need to know is that Sephiroth came in here and he kills President Shinra, the president of
Oh.
Shinra.
Shit.
Because
Holy
he's got
shit.
a bone to pick. I would also like to note at this juncture that every single article I read said President Shinra is killed, and so Rufus Shinra takes over, with no mention of President Shinra's name other than President Shinra. So he is the president of the Shinra Corporation, but it seems his name is President Shinra, because when Rufus becomes the president, his name isn't President Rufus, it's just Rufus. So I don't know. Anyway, the president's son Rufus is now in charge of Shinra.
Okay, so
Cloud.
Sephiroth also hates Shinra. So in
Yep.
theory, Avalanche and Sephiroth are like kind of on the same side and say fuck Shinra.
No.
Well, Fran, we need to know a little bit more about Sephiroth first.
Yeah, because I thought Sephiroth was Cloud's antagonist.
When Cloud was a wee lad, he wanted to impress a wee Tifa Lockhart something fierce. Just wanted her to notice him. But
doesn't?
she had her own group of friends, and they were all cliquish and like in group like, and they didn't want anything to do
the
with
amount
Cloud.
that the more CJ goes, the more it's just his fan fiction.
Anyway, Cloud wants to impress Tifa, and so one day they're like hiking through the wilds, and she like falls into a ravine, and he falls in with her, and he's totally unharmed, but she gets real banged up in the process, and he's able to get both of them back to town, but her dad is fucking pissed off, and he's like, "I don't want you to see my daughter ever again. You done got her all banged up, you know." But Cloud is like, "I promise, Tifa, I will become strong enough to protect you because I'm an epic anime boy. I'm gonna go off and be like Sephiroth." Because at this point, Sephiroth was like a hero to the Shinra Corporation. He was the strongest of the members of Soldier, which is the elite group of soldiers that Shinra has.
they
Uh,
were they were a little on the nose with that one. It's
Was
not
it's
to
it?
be not to be confused with the Turks, the other elite branch of Shinra soldiers.
Didn't know they existed. So
Mhm.
Sephiroth was a soldier. Didn't Cloud also work for Shinra at one point? And
Yeah,
then he
so
turned into a mercenary? I'm trying to vaguely recall the things I know from the internet.
so Cloud wanted to become strong enough to protect Tifa. And so he went off and he went to go join Soldier,
Okay.
like his hero Sephiroth.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when he joined Soldier.
Sephiroth also had a falling out with Shinra, I presume?
Yeah, it
yeah,
seems like Sephiroth doesn't
Considering.
like Shinra too
they
much,
I'm
considering he just killed their president.
Yeah.
I think they happened at the same time. It was kind of Sephiroth had a falling out with Shinra, and that falling out was kind of big enough to end the soldier program.
Cloud is like, guys, we need to follow that motherfucker. I gotta catch up to him. And they're like, Cloud, why do you care about Sephi baby so much? And he says, it all has to do with our intertwined backstories. And then he has a flashback.
Okay, thank you.
And
Great.
and it's Tifa and Sephiroth and Cloud. And they are all working for Shinra.
Oh.
And
I didn't know Tifa
Wait,
was
wait,
part of this
Tifa.
deal too.
mhm.
Are you sure?
Well, yeah, Tifa's not working for Shinra. What happens is Sephiroth and Cloud are there working for Shinra. They're looking for something, and Shinra has sent them to Cloud's home city of Nibelheim, which is where he and Tifa both grew up. And they have gotten Tifa as a local guide to help them navigate the city to find what they're looking for. And so the three of them are in these catacombs underneath the city. And they find these horrible monster creatures that are inside of a bunch of big glass tubes that are like half man, half creature, all some sort of horrible experiments
Mm-hmm.
having to do with monsters and Mako energy. And then they find one of the tubes and it's labeled Genova.
This is a
And
word that sounds familiar.
this is a familiar word, especially to Sephiroth, whose mother's name was Genova.
I,
God.
I thought you were going to say, especially to people of the Jewish faith.
No, this one. So if you want to know this one, this is a portmanteau of Jehovah, which is the name for God, and Nova, which is just the word meaning new. So it means new God.
I will interject my ignorance of that's why they're called Jehovah's Witnesses. Got it.
Correct. Yeah. They're
Real
literally
life
witnesses
lore.
to God.
Yep,
there you
got
go.
it. I've learned something new
More
today.
like
Thank you.
got it. Am I right? Anyway, so we get a little bit more backstory. So in this backstory that Cloud has, we get some more Sephiroth backstory, which is that his mommy's name is Genova, but he was told that she died giving birth to him. Well, now he's got a tube that has just a hot fucking stacked alien looking blue girl that is presumably dead inside of this experiment tube, and it's labeled the same label as his mom. So he's like, what the fuck is this? This is pissing me right off. So
Mm.
he goes back to the Shinra Manor that's located inside of the city of Nibelheim, which again is I think supposed to be Niflheim, which is it's the Viking word for where elves come from. So I don't know. It's weird.
Okay.
But he takes a deep dive into what the heck is going on here. Why is my mom's name on this tube? And after researching more about him, it is revealed that Genova is an ancient creature that the Shinra Corporation found during a dig in the northern crater, and this creature they noticed had special abilities, and so the Shinra Corporation was like, "Oh, dude, it's a Cetra from the old ancient people. I
Mhm.
bet if we took cells out of this and put them inside of things, they would turn into super powerful things. And so then they started doing that.
Yeah.
Uh, and so Sephiroth is like, this is my mom, and you killed her and did experiments on her. And so he gets really pissed off both at Shinra and I guess at the town they're in, even though they didn't
Mhm.
have anything to do with it, presumably. But whatever.
So much
So
angst to get
He's
out.
angry. He's an angry man.
he
They
he
can be
goes on a
emotional sometimes.
I guess. Well, he goes on a rampage and he starts destroying Nibelheim.
Mm.
And he is now under the impression that he is the sole surviving Cetra. And so he has a birthright to rule the planet, basically.
Oh.
So
Oh.
because his mom was the last Cetra, that
That
makes
he
him
knows
the
of.
last Cetra. And so, right. And so he starts going crazy and goes on a rampage.
Alright.
Well, uh, Cloud recounts all of this to his friends, and it's worth noting that Sephiroth also has a really awesome sword called the
Yeah.
Masamune.
Yeah.
That's like 1,000 feet long.
Dope as fuck.
Uh,
It's a
but
cool sword.
it's a cool sword. But most importantly, what we know about long swords, Fran, is they provide great leverage. So don't forget that.
Okay.
Okay. That's
I'm
yeah,
gonna
That's
write it down in my
important.
notes.
that's
Long
important for later.
swords
Hmm.
have great
Hmm.
leverage. Okay.
But
Long
Exactly.
sword.
yeah, no,
Exactly
this
such.
game definitely did exemplify a lot of that like
Got it.
90s anime style where it's like Cloud's weapon is called the Buster Sword
Mm-hmm.
and it's, about the size of an adult man, right? It's like
It's
6
ginormous.
feet long and 2 feet thick. It's just ridiculous. And then they were like, well, our villain needs to have an even swordier sword if he's going to be threatening. So Sephiroth's sword is legit like a 10-foot long samurai sword,
Which is
All
cool.
right. And so
which is
Cloud recounts,
cool.
which is awesome, it's fucking radical. So Cloud recounts all of this, and then they're like, and after he fucking burned your whole city down and killed your mom and Tifa's dad, what did you guys do? And he's like, then I chased after him. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, don't remember anything. I got bad memory. And everyone's like, okay, whatever.
All right.
But this is where things start to get like exceptional. Okay, it's already been a little bit dumb, but this is where it gets like exceptionally stupid and kind of hard to keep track of. So I'm gonna try and push ahead. But what you need to know is basically for the rest of the game, Cloud is trying to chase down Sephiroth.
Shinra is also going for Sephiroth now, right? Because he did kill their president.
Okay.
And so they're sending
Yeah.
some more forces to him. And our boys are also like still interested in stopping the Shinra forces because now Rufus is president, and that's going to be its own can of worms.
Yeah, he's an even bigger asshole. So the
Great.
group is trying to fight off all of Shinra while also chasing down Sephiroth.
So they have enough
Uh,
resources to chase the remaining. Do they? Well, they guess they know that the remaining people of Avalanche are still alive. They didn't all die.
Eventually they figure it
Yeah.
out, yeah, but they don't care because Sephiroth's kind of a bigger problem for them.
Okay. So they're focusing on Sephiroth. Avalanche
Hmm.
people are like just showing up and they're like, "Hey."
Yeah.
Then
So they catch back up to Sephiroth, and Cloud's like, Sephiroth, what do you want? And then Sephiroth goes, who the fuck are you, dude? And he's like, what? I'm Cloud? And he's like, I don't know about that. He morphs into a horrifying, like, nightmare creature, that's called Genova Birth.
Mm,
And they kill him, and they're like, that was weird that Sephiroth turned into a weird Cronenberg creature. What's up with that? So they go to Red 13's hometown, which is where the race of these like dog fox lions live. And they're all like spiritual and one with the planet, and they're like astronomers who can, figure out what's going on and stuff like that. And there's this whole cool side story with like Red 13 and his relationship with his father, and he doesn't want to abandon his people because he thinks his father does, but in reality, his father was trying to protect his people, but he didn't know that because he died protecting the people, and it's like a whole thing. But we don't care about any of that. We just care about the romance between Cloud and Sephiroth.
Yes.
And so the leader of Cosmo Canyon, which is Red 13's home, is like, Sephiroth is not a he's not a Cetra. There's no way. I'm pretty sure Ares is the only remaining Cetra.
Aerith.
Uh and he and everyone's like, "Well then what the fuck is going on, dude?" And this is where it all starts to get confusing cuz it's like, then what the fuck is Sephiroth if he
Mhm.
thinks that he's the last, yeah, he's the son of this thing they dug up that's from the ancient times, and
Mhm.
fuck, man, I don't know. They can't figure it out, but they can figure out that he's got a big evil plan. And that plan is to use the black materia. That's right. There is an ultimately powerful materia known as the black materia
Mhm.
that has been hidden since ancient times that can be used to summon the power meteor, which can wipe out the entire planet
It
and
make a meteor.
it make
I
a big
figured.
meteor come. Yeah,
Could it
yes.
be the Sky Calamity?
Well,
Yeah.
Sephiroth wants to get this black materia because he wants to summon Meteor to inflict a mortal wound upon the planet. He doesn't care about the people. The people are like nothing to him at this point. But he wants to inflict a mortal wound on the planet, and the planet will then heal itself using the life stream. And as the planet diverts all of its life stream to this mortal wound that was inflicted by Meteor, he will insert himself into it, thus absorbing all of the life stream and becoming a god.
This doesn't sound very ancient Cetra of him.
Well, he thinks that the planet belongs to him because it's his by rights. So
That's
he's
not
gonna
very
absorb
ancient
all of it
Cetra of
and
him.
turn into God.
Mhm. These are
Which
very
is
good
an
indicators that's he's
it's
not
a
one of them. I
fucking
get it.
radical plan, by the way.
It's a
That's
little
awesome.
convoluted, but all right.
Well, he's got one big problem. He doesn't know where the black materia is. It was lost to time. But he does know that it has something to do with the Temple of the Ancients, but so does the leader of Cosmo Canyon. So he's like, you guys got to go to the Temple of Ancients and get this sorted out. He cannot get the black materia. That would be big bad. And so they're like, all right, we'll go figure it out. Well, it turns out the Temple of the Ancients is the black materia. The
Mm.
ancient people morphed the black materia into this temple and then made a convoluted series of puzzles and traps in order to
Great.
make it inaccessible. But hey, you can solve all those puzzles and traps, right? Well, you do.
I feel like that they might have done more bad than good because if Sephiroth was like, I can't find it and left, and their whole point is to keep the black materia out of his hands,
Hmm.
why would they have you solve all the puzzles and riddles to get the black materia that can now be taken by Sephiroth? I
Friend,
feel like
because
this is poorly thought out.
they know that the black materia is only safe in Cloud's hands because he would never give the black materia to
Oh
Sephiroth.
god.
So then Sephiroth
Just leave
shows
it
up
in the
and
temple.
says, Cloud, give me that black materia. And Cloud goes, yeah, all right, bud. And then he just does it.
But
And then Sephiroth goes, great. I mean, thanks, champ. That was real nice. And why don't you fight your friends for me? And he was like, yeah, sure, bud, whatever you want me to do. And his friends knock him out. Sephiroth has the black materia now.
mhm.
And Cloud's knocked out. And Aerith comes to him in his unconscious dream, I guess. And he was like, oh, sorry that I gave him that and kind of freaked out on you guys. And she's like, yeah, that's pretty not good.
Mhm.
I'm going to go take care of Sephiroth by myself. And you should stay here because that was not a good thing that just happened. I would call that a negative.
Yeah.
And he wakes up and Aerith is gone. And they're like, well, she went off to go deal with Sephiroth. And he's like, can't just let her go off to deal with Sephiroth by herself. She's just like he's too powerful. We got to help. And they're like, are you sure? You're acting a bit weird when it comes to Sephiroth. And he's like, I will be fine, probably. And so he goes to chase after her. Luckily, they know where she's going because she told him in the dream that he had with her that
Convenient.
she was going to go to a place called the Forgotten City, which is the lost city of the ancient people. She knows where it is because she's one of the ancient people.
Of course.
And so the party goes after her and finds that she is praying in the temple there. She is using her Cetra powers so that she can speak with the planet and beg it to help deal with the whole Sephiroth thing.
Mhm.
It turns out that in her possession, she has the white materia. It has the ability to counteract the black materia. That's kind of her play, which is a pretty good plan, except that the party rushes in to meet back up with her, and Cloud is like, yeah, I think I should kill her though, right? I'm going to
Oh
go
my
do a
God.
murder on her. And so he starts to go after Aerith with his Buster Blade, and the rest of the party's like, no, wait. And they all restrain him. And while this is happening, Sephiroth comes down from above and fucking impales Aerith with his super long sword. And she's mad dead now. She fucking dies. And blank screen. Enter disc 2, please. So what do we learn after all of this? Well,
Sephiroth has some weird power over Cloud.
Well, yeah. But more importantly, after Sephiroth is done with his woman slaying, he keeps morphing into different things. Specifically, they notice that he takes the form of that creature that they saw in the Shinra labs, the Genova creature. But that's weird. They're supposed to be locked up inside of that glass tube that made him go all nutso butso. Well, Sephiroth is actually Genova, the body of Genova, morphed to look like Sephiroth. And they've been chasing around a morphed version of Genova this whole time.
Okay.
So this wasn't even Sephiroth. They were just chasing around a bunch of cells.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, we're all just a bunch of cells at work.
Yeah, well, this one was some special cells, if you know what I'm talking about. So, like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
They're really looking for some answers at this point. Fortunately, a kindly young professor named Professor Hojo is there to explain everything to them.
In the
only
temple, in the
one
Forgotten
of those.
City?
Yeah, the only one of those things he is a professor.
He is the one who worked on Sephiroth. He is his creator in a way.
Science daddy,
Sephiroth or Genova Sephiroth?
The original Sephiroth,
Okay.
not the one that's made of
Okay,
Genoa.
the one that went crazy and murdered a city. Got it. No,
right.
wait. Or did
exactly
Genova?
that guy.
Okay.
Exactly.
Actually did
fucking
that.
exactly. All right, now you're figuring it out, friend. Because how could that have been Sephiroth? Sephiroth went crazy because he saw Genova in a tube. So that couldn't have been Genova, right?
Unless
but then
he
when
let
did
Genova out.
show up? And where did Sephiroth go? And what the
Dead.
fuck is going on? Well, the good news is that this thing that used to be Sephiroth morphs into Genova and morphs into Genova again because they've already fought different versions of Genova. But now they fight this version of Genova and they reclaim the black materia. So, woohoo, we got the black materia back. Kindly, Mr. Hojo comes and explains everything to them. And he says, Genova is a creature we found in the northern crater. That much we already knew. But what they don't know is they're like, we're going to do experiments with this.
Of course.
So they took the Genova creature, and he had a theory that it was called reunion theory, that if he took cells from this creature, then it would want to all basically recoalesce together. But also,
Mm.
these cells would, if implanted into a host body, would allow the host to become a super soldier, which is how the soldier program got started.
Ah.
But for the most part, they would just inject it into these people and they would get superpowers, but they never really had control over the whole thing.
Mhm.
That is until he decided to take his pregnant wife, who had a baby inside of her, and inject some of that sweet goo into her and the
Mm.
baby. Then Sephiroth is born, the human child, but he is completely infused with Genova cells.
Okay.
That makes him in complete control of the Genova general masses.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone who has the Genova cells injected into them become what he calls a Sephiroth clone, even though that is not what a clone is. But
that's how those words
anyone
work.
who has Genova cells in them can be influenced by Sephiroth, because he is basically trying to reunite all of his various parts which exist in other people, and
Got
so
it.
he can do so by exerting his will over them.
Okay. The person from the tube is transforming into Sephiroth? Or is Sephiroth
Yeah.
transforming into Genova? Like, I
So
get
when
why
S-
Cloud's, like, obsessed then with Sephiroth, but if it's actually Genova that's influencing him, is it just Genova's trying to get everybody together?
Well, Sephiroth was never in the Shinra Corporation building.
Oh.
He was able to exert his will over the body of the remaining Genova body that was
Uh-huh.
inside of the Shinra Corporation, and that morphed into Sephiroth. So Sephiroth, presumably, they have never come
So-
across him in
Oh.
this story yet.
Yes. So you have literal Sephiroth clones that you don't
Mhm.
call Sephiroth clones. Those are Genova cell packets. And then
Yeah.
you have soldiers who they call Sephiroth clones but are not Sephiroth clones, but also that like Cloud does have this like identity crisis thing where he's not certain if he even like was born a person or was just a like literal test tube baby
Mhm.
Sephiroth, until Tifa's just like, no dude, like I remember you from childhood too, like it's fine. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh right, I had a childhood, I forgot.
Professor Hojo is like, "Oh, okay, Sephiroth has control over you. That's why you keep chasing him, because he wants to reunite with his parts. So your desire to chase Sephiroth is because of this reunion theory. He wants to reunite with all of his Genova cells."
All his bits.
And
But Sephiroth's
Uh,
not the one running around. Right?
well, no, because it turns out that the real Sephiroth has been in the northern crater this whole time during the whole story, pulling the strings from a cavernous lair.
Okay.
And Hojo looks at Cloud and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're just a failed Sephiroth experiment. Like all of your memories are like manufactured and fake. We basically made you in a laboratory to have Genova DNA inside of you. I
But he
guess."
had a childhood.
Well, he was like, "You didn't have a childhood. You just heard about this kid that Tifa used to be friends with when she was a kid, and you've adopted his personality because you don't have a personality." So
But-
Cloud is like, "So I'm just a Sephiroth clone?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, you're just a Sephiroth clone doing whatever Sephiroth wants you to do."
But
And
Tifa
Cloud doesn't
remembers
like
him.
that. Tifa is very concerned now, because when Cloud was telling his story about the incident with her, Cloud, and Sephiroth
Yeah.
underneath Nibelheim, when
Mhm.
Sephiroth goes crazy, she doesn't remember Cloud being there. Only Cloud tells the story where Cloud is there.
Okay.
And she was really concerned when he was telling the story, but she didn't want to freak him out, because when she found him, he was like a crazy person muttering about things. And so
Mm.
she didn't know if he was a crazy person or
Mm.
what was going on. But
Are we
she was
in the wheelchair yet, CJ, or is that coming a
sh-
little
I'm
later?
so confused.
the wheelchair.
Yeah, so this whole section where Tifa and Cloud are having this heart to heart about who Cloud really is, uh and it's a solid like hour of gameplay.
Fair.
Uh
Mhm.
It's confusing as
Cloud
shit.
is bedridden from all of this, and you
Mhm.
play as Tifa and push him around in a wheelchair for like a
That's awesome.
solid hour while they talk it through.
That's very good. That's not quite happening yet, but we'll get to that. All right. So Cloud is like, I'm a fake boy, and
God.
Sephiroth was a fake boy, and I don't even know where the real Sephiroth is, and I'm just doing all this stuff because Sephiroth wants me to. So Cloud is real fucked up. So
Okay.
he goes to the crater where the real Sephiroth is. He's like, we about to get some answers, boy. Uh but this time he's like, whoa, hold on. I can't be trusted with the black materia. We know that. I'm going to give it to my good friend Barrett, and you're going to stay here with the black materia. And I'm going to go in with Tifa, and we're going to sort some shit out. The whole time, Sephiroth is just fucking with you. He's like, you're a clone of me, dude. You suck my dick. You do whatever I tell you to. And so he gets down there. And he's like, Sephiroth, you cannot steal the black materia from me because I do not have it. And he's like, oh, really? And Sephiroth made a fake projection of Tifa to go interact with the rest of your party to be like, hey, Cloud needs the black materia. Go give it to him. And they're like, well, dang, if Tifa's saying that, it must be true. And so Barrett comes down and gives the black materia to Cloud again. And Cloud's like, oh, fuck no. And then Sephiroth goes, all right, Cloud, come give me that black materia. And he's like,
Give
oh,
Daddy the
okay,
black
Dad.
materia.
He goes, yes, Daddy. So he gives him the black materia. And Sephiroth's like, hell yeah, dude. He uses it to summon Meteor. The summoning is so intense that an earthquake happens. Cloud falls into the life stream that is below the planet. And he's just a regular boy. So that shit is basically poisonous to him. And so
Core.
Cloud falls in and becomes comatose from the Mako poisoning.
Okay, this is now then.
And
he's in
then
a
this, I
wheelchair
guess, is where Tifa pushes around in a catatonic state while she's like,
for
Cloud,
a
you're
real long time.
It's like, Cloud, you're a real person, you fucking idiot. I knew you when you were a kid. What are you talking about? Why are you like you said the Sephiroth story wrong? Like, where did you even get that info from? Like, what's going on with you, you fucking kid?
So how'd they
Um,
recover Cloud if he ended up in like a hole?
Cause he like washed ashore somewhere else. The life stream kind of
Okay.
took him.
The live stream is like, hey, get out of here, you scamp. Get out of here.
Basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But Sephiroth fell into the life stream, but he's fine. Because he is I forgot to mention, Sephiroth's body is inside of a big materia crystal, a bunch of crystallized Mako, which is how he's been protected in the North Crater while he's doing all this other stuff, pulling the strings.
Okay.
Once this happens, the meteor's summoned, and you get like a big Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask moon coming down to destroy the planet thing. And, you know, the Shinra's freaking out. That's bad for business.
That's so bad for capitalism.
Real bad for business.
The planet, which is a living thing, summons its like bio robot defenders that are called the weapons
Great.
or the
Oh, yeah,
ultimate
they're-
weapons.
Dude, they're so rad.
Yeah. Well, it wants to kill Sephiroth, the guy who summoned the meteor.
Yeah. Fair.
But it can't find Sephiroth because he's in a crystal and he's protected himself with a shield inside of the crater. So because the robots are summoned to protect the planet and it can't find Sephiroth, it's like, hey, there's like a bunch of big cities everywhere that's sucking the life force out of the planet. So we're going to go destroy those because that is the planet enemy, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So all of the Shinra towns are getting attacked by these ultimate weapons.
All right.
I hadn't thought about it at the time when I was playing this as a kid, but it is like there is this guy, this long silver-haired boy who is like, I literally want to destroy the planet. And the Earth Guardians come up and they look at him and they look at capitalism and they're like, I cannot tell the difference. I
Yeah.
don't.
Tell the
And they
difference
just
between
go-
these two pictures.
They just go buck wild. So while this is happening, Shinra's trying to figure out a way to stop this fucking meteor while also trying to figure out a way to kill all of these bio robots that are coming up, destroying everything. Tifa is talking to Cloud, and it's like, Cloud, you have to know you're a real person. This is ridiculous. One of the weapons attacks the town that Tifa and Cloud are recovering in, and both of them fall into the life stream, which gives
Again?
Tifa the amazing. Yeah, no, Cloud just falls into life stream a whole bunch.
Wow, just tripping on it.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
days.
it's so stupid. But now they fell in together, and this gives Tifa the amazing ability to talk with Cloud, pretty much, which is so this is the most annoying part, because this all could have been settled if they just like corroborated their stories even a little bit. But no, they have to magically get sucked into the live stream and have visions of each other's
Right.
memories
Yeah, they
in order
share
to
each
figure
other's-
out what the fuck's going on. So now is time for the best character in the game, Zack. We don't know about Zack. Where the fuck has Zack been? All right.
Where has he been?
In order to decipher why Cloud's so zooped up, Tifa goes into his memories of the past and is able to sort out the things that did happen from the things that didn't happen. And we get a new backstory. Indeed, Cloud went off to go join Soldier to impress Tifa, but he didn't make it into Soldier because I think he had a weak mind, is what they said. So I guess
Oh.
he was just like he didn't pass the written tests to get
Oh,
into
no.
Soldier. And so he never made it into Soldier. He just joined the regular Shinra army, the Shinra Corps. And he was very ashamed by this. So he never told anyone that he didn't make it into Soldier, which is why everyone assumed that he was in Soldier. But in being in the regular Shinra Corps, he did meet someone who was in Soldier, a guy by the name of Zack. And Zack was a super cool guy that looks like he's straight out of Kingdom Hearts.
I feel like I know of this person.
He's got
this
long,
character.
black, spiky hair.
Yeah,
and
it sounds really
he's-
familiar.
He's
Ah,
the
yeah,
original. He's the
Yep.
original wielder of the Buster Sword.
I know this boy.
Uh,
I've seen this boy a lot.
He takes Cloud under his wing and he's like, we're gonna be buddies. And one day Zack gets a new mission. He's gonna go with Sephiroth, and the two of them are gonna go to a town called Nibelheim in order to investigate some goings on there. And Zack wants Cloud to come with him. So Cloud comes as one of the regular soldiers that is accompanying Zack and Sephiroth, who are the soldiers. And that's how Cloud knew what happened that day, because he was there. But once they met up with Tifa, he was too ashamed to show that he didn't make it into Soldier. So he put on the helmet that the soldiers wear, which cover up your entire face. And so he was just one of the background guards during that scene. And he had put himself into Zack's place for reasons that we will see later. But all the stuff where Sephiroth discovers his mother and freaks out happens. And so Zack is the one who goes to try and stop him, but he's unable to. Sephiroth is just too cool. And so he's been beaten up. And so he gives Cloud his Buster Blade and he's like, you got to go take care of Sephiroth. He's going crazy, man. And so he goes to meet Sephiroth, and Sephiroth is going insane. And he's taken Genova's head, and he was like, Mama, I love you so much.
Ugh,
And he has his mom's head.
gross.
Cloud comes up behind him and stabs him with the Buster Sword. And he's like, fucking ow. And now this is the important part, Fran. What did I say about Sephiroth's sword?
I have written here, long swords have great leverage.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So Cloud stabs Sephiroth, and then Sephiroth's like, dude, fuck off, and stabs Cloud back. But because his sword is much longer and provides greater leverage, Cloud is able to use that leverage to push Sephiroth into the life stream that is at the laboratory where Jenova is being kept. And he is able to kind of defeat Sephiroth as Sephiroth falls into the life stream and is dissolved away with his mother's head. And that is how Sephiroth was defeated the first time when he started going crazy.
Okay.
This turns out to be not a great thing because
No,
Sephiroth...
that's what he wants, I thought.
Yes, Sephiroth now has access to all of the knowledge contained within the life stream, which includes all the knowledge of the ancients, which is how he figures out how to use the black materia to summon meteor, and that the planet is going to heal himself and that he can absorb all that sweet, sweet juice and become God. And using all of this information and all of the power that he obtained from being absorbed with his mama's head, he's able to recoalesce at the northern crater, which is where they eventually find him. And he crystallized himself into a bunch of materia while he gathered strength until several years later he was able to resurface and reclaim the body half of Jenova and form him into a Sephiroth clone that was able to do his biddings and begin the gears of machination for his evil plan.
Okay.
And Cloud and Zack, both being mortally wounded from this, were unable to do anything else as Shinra comes in and does a whole big cover up on the whole town. Did not want people to know that this ever happened. And so they rebuilt the entire town of Nibelheim, which is why Cloud didn't know what the fuck was going on, because he was like, I'm pretty sure this town was destroyed. I watched it get destroyed, but they rebuilt the whole thing, filled it with Sephiroth clones so that they could control all of the civilians, including Zack and Cloud. And so they became failed Sephiroth clone experiments. And that is how the Sephiroth DNA or the Jenova DNA got inside of Cloud in the first place, because after his fight with Sephiroth, Hojo and the rest of his team turned him and Zack into Sephiroth clones. Zack fought off like a whole army while he was covering for Cloud for them to get away. But eventually he was gunned down and he was like, Cloud, you need to take my Buster Sword and you need to get back into town. You got to live for both of us, brother. And he was like, but I don't know what to do. And everything's so weird. And we're like clones of Sephiroth now or some shit like that. He's like, don't worry about that. I'll always be with you in a sort of metaphysical sense. But also I think we're kind of part of the same hive mind now or something. And so through all that trauma, Cloud imprinted his own memories on top of Zack's memories, on top of Sephiroth's memories, to become this weird conglomeration of memories that never really happened, which also, now that I'm saying it, Kingdom Hearts makes a lot more sense now. That like this is what his like first foyer into the RPG was.
Now, yeah, I mean, I feel like what you just described is basically the process that any teenage edgelord goes through, where they just imprint cooler people's memories on top of their memories.
Okay, so Cloud is still Cloud, but he was on the brink of dying, so he got an injection of Jenova stem cells into him. And then him and his best boy, Zack, who also was on the brink of death, who got stem cells, decided to run away together. And when Zack was dying, Cloud's like, I'll never forget you. And somehow ended up with Zack's memories on top of Sephiroth's.
Well, it wasn't. He didn't have any of Zack's memories because him and Zack were doing the same thing. He just input himself in Zack's place, thinking that he was the one doing what Zack was doing, when in reality he was just there watching this happen.
So through trauma, he kind of made himself in a different storyline and kind of things like that.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. It's a coping mechanism. All right. I'm trying. Great.
But it still doesn't make sense. If Sephiroth is not a Cetra, then how does he have all these gosh dang powers? What's going on? Well,
He's anti-Cetra. Whatever that is backwards.
Genova
Patrick.
was the original calamity from the sky, an ancient meteor that crashed into the planet that contained Genova, who came to the planet and saw all of the sweet, sweet life force that existed inside the planet and said, this is going to be mine now. And the ancients were like, no, we're like way against that. And Genova's like, well, I don't really care what you're about. So there was an ancient battle between the Cetra people and Genova, in which case the ancients were just barely able to contain Genova inside of the crater that she landed in all those years ago. But their numbers were greatly reduced to near extinction, which is why they're so rare to this day. And the only widespread survivors were the humans, which is why they eventually were able to prosper and start utilizing all of the Mako energy and all of that stuff. And so Genova has sat dormant in that crater until Shinra, in their mining operations to find more sweet juice to use, unearthed them and did experiments on their body in order to create Sephiroth, who's actually the genetic offspring of an alien who came to the planet in order to suck it dry of juice to become a god.
Okay.
So now everyone knows all this. Well, what do we do about it? There's still a meteor coming, and we still can't do anything about it.
Doesn't change anything, yeah.
We tried blowing it up, but it didn't work. Well, they go back to
What else could
Cosmo
you do?
Canyon, where the good boys tell them, well, it could work because Aerith died, but she did not fail in her mission. She was able to summon Holy using her prayers. She spoke with the planet, and the planet listened and summoned the white materia Holy. But Sephiroth is currently near the planet's core in the crater, preventing Holy from manifesting to fight off Meteor. So you need to go and defeat Sephiroth, which will unleash Holy and prevent the meteor from striking the planet. And they're like, well, that would be fine, except there's a big shield over the crater that he's currently sitting in. And Shinra, doing fuck knows what, just trying to kill all of these giant monsters who are blowing up all their towns, makes a giant cannon that runs on Mako juice and tries to blow up one of the machine creatures that's killing all of their townspeople, and sort of accidentally blows up Sephiroth's shield that's keeping everyone out. So they're like, guys, if we can get in the crater and kill Sephiroth, the real Sephiroth, then he won't be able to prevent Holy from summoning, and it can stop Meteor.
So the white materia that Aerith had,
Yes.
that kind of apparently dramatically sank into the water, it was doing its job. It was supposed to disappear.
It was
as it got closer
active
to the core.
Yeah, it was activated, and it tried to summon Holy from the life stream, but it couldn't because Sephiroth is blocking it.
Got it. So things happened with the white materia. It actually wasn't just like doing that.
Yeah, it actually worked. They thought that she failed and died, but she actually succeeded and died, which I do have a lot of respect for, because you go the whole game just being like, ah, man, Aerith just died for no fucking reason, but she did die for a reason. She died to give this last prayer to protect the planet. If they kill Sephiroth, they save the planet. So they go and they decide to go fight Sephiroth, and there he is in the crater. He's like, well, Cloud. I didn't think you had it in you little twink, but here you are. Let's say you and I have a duel of fates, and you go, all right, you're able to defeat Sephiroth and destroy him for good. Except, whoops, he actually turns into a new thing. Now he's like a deity or some shit, and he's like a biblically accurate angel. He's got like wings popping out of all sorts of different parts of him, and he doesn't use a sword anymore. He just fucking smashes the shit out of you with his angelic figure.
Yeah, I mean, every Final Fantasy game has to end with a 3 to 4 stage boss that you must defeat many, many times.
Well, don't worry. Safer Sephiroth is the final form of Sephiroth, and you slay him, and his body is defeated. But whoops, Cloud done slipped into the Mako again, and Sephiroth came with him, and the two of them are now in the ethereal realm, the space of the mind, where Sephiroth's like back in his original humanoid form, like, well, you may have fought me, Cloud, and killed me or whatever, but what do you say we do one last fight in the mind space where we have
Mhm.
one final duel between boys? And you go, well, I guess I'm here, so let's do it. And so you fight Sephiroth in a fight that you cannot lose because it is a scripted fight. His consciousness is finally put to rest, regardless of what Advent Children says. And uh, Tifa brings Cloud to and says, "We gotta get out of here." And you see that Holy is now manifesting above the planet, but meteor's too close. You were too late in killing Sephiroth, and now the meteor is going to strike anyway because the Holy is, I guess, the meteor's too close for Holy to work. Um, and everyone watched in horrified faces as the planet is being destroyed, but streams of life coming from the planet, the life stream is being summoned. What could be happening? Well, Cloud, who's still near the life stream, sees a familiar face. It looks like Aerith is not as totally dead as we all thought and has joined her people in the afterlife that is the life stream. The life stream is summoned forth and comes out to push the asteroid away from the planet and allows Holy to be able to defend the planet. And although the planet is defended, Midgar is actually just destroyed.
Well,
Midgar
I mean,
was,
that's for
Yeah.
the best, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
Midgar was annihilated in this clash of magics, and
and
the
thus
screen.
they finally complete Avalanche's mission.
Yeah, we got him, boys. I mean, in a way, yes.
All the reactors are destroyed.
But it cuts to black, and we get a post. We get an epilogue. It's Red 13. He's running through a field with two little Red 13s,
Aw.
little pups.
They're Red 14 and 15.
They go to the top of a ridge and they look down and they see a ruined Midgard that has been overtaken by nature as nature regrows and the planet heals. And off in the distance, you hear the sounds of children laughing and playing as we are led to believe that the people have survived and now live more harmoniously with nature. And that is the story of Final Fantasy VII.
It's a long story.
But that's the
just-
story. What do you think?
I'm happy that I now have some backstory for all that Cloud Sephiroth fan fiction and Dojin that I read
Mhm.
growing
Well,
up. And it gives me some more context to their like relationship dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, after all this happens, then Cloud is teleported to the hub world in Kingdom Hearts, I think canonically is what happens next. And he's just chasing after Sephiroth, who he thinks is alive, but he couldn't be. He killed him, but he is because he's in Advent Children again. Oh!
Yeah, please do not start in on Kingdom Hearts. But,
He's got the Geo disease or whatever the fuck.
I mean, I wouldn't mind Kingdom Hearts explained someday, but today's not. The day.
Maybe one day if we get 100,000 subscribers.
But no, I'm happy that we could get the core story of Cloud and Sephiroth, but I have to say I am sad at all of the things that we had to cut. Fran, there was a beautiful story about Barrett and his best bro who both have gun arms, but they have the opposite gun arms of each other.
Match made in heaven.
This is definitely one we could come back to and do more in-depth side stories of the different characters. Like I said, we basically just focused on Cloud and Sephiroth and a little bit of Tifa, but there's a lot of really great characters. I know why a lot of people like this game so much, and I do think it is probably one of the best fantasy worlds that have been crafted for a video game, at least an RPG like this. And I think it's very silly. I think like game designers these days have forgotten the joy one gets from just putting silly bullshit into stuff for no reason.
I want another episode.
You'll have to wait until 2 weeks from now because this episode is over. I want to thank you guys again for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate it. We love making this stuff and talking about random garbage. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover or have any suggestions, hey, tweet at us at Spices With. We love to hear from you. Leave a comment if that's where you're looking at stuff. Remember to follow. Remember to tell your friends. Message your teachers from high school that made a huge impact in your life, and let them know that they made a huge impact because they would love to hear that. And then just slip in at the end. Also, I've been listening to this really cool podcast, so you should check that out too. And I think that's gonna go a long way in building more bridges. We're going to thank Gail Kitsune for making all of our graphics. She does great work. And we're also going to thank our composer, Apagio, for making the great song Before and After. And I think the only one left to thank is me for doing such a great job at telling you guys the story about Final Fantasy. So I will start the sign off by saying I've been CJ.
And I've been Sephiroth. No, I've been Zach. No, I've been Ethan.
And I've been Fran.
And I will never do an episode on Kingdom Hearts.